The San Antonio Spurs are building a future contender. And I mean that. They are building a team. They're building a team around Wemby that is going to compete. And when I mean compete, I mean genuinely compete in the future. Before we get on to going into detail, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 15,500 by the end of the day, and we are 60 off right now. So anyway, this is Chris Paul. This is CP3. This is the guy who is a lot of people have given credit for what OKC have done. His mentorship around of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, turning him into the point guard. A lot of people gave him the credit for his turnaround in Phoenix. This guy is a pure winner. This guy's a pure winner. He's going to be that veteran presence. And he still, I think, has enough in the tank that he is going to help them out. He's going to be able to help them out short term. With Victor Wembanyama there, he's got the true playmaking point guard now to set him up short term. And then you have got Stefan Castle. You got Stefan Castle there, who I do not believe is a point guard. I do not believe Stefan Castle is a point guard, and I think he's going to be there he's going to play there at times. I don't think he shoots well enough or makes well enough, but he's going to be a tall player who you can run a point guard at times, especially because this year they can try him out there, see how he gets on, because it's not the end of the world if they win or lose this year. Regardless, win or lose, it really does not matter this year. But what I will say is that they can't stash this guy. They cannot stash Juan Nunes. Not in a year where you've got Chris Paul as a mentor. You do not stash Juan Nunes this year. Like, I was really annoyed they traded Rob Dillingham in the first round, because I'm like, how do you trade Rob Dillingham? How do you trade Rob Dillingham when you're not sure if Stefan Castle is even going to be capable of playing the point guard in the NBA? You see this man right here? You don't stash this guy. This is the best playmaker in the draft, and you got him in the second round. He is the best passer in this draft, the best pick-and-roll point guard in this draft. You got him in the second round. He fell in your lap. I don't think Juan Nunes has been anything absolutely spectacular. Just give him a shot. Do not stash him. Like, you're seeing the Knicks already regretting stacking Rokas Jokubaitis. Jokubaitis. You're seeing how much they're regretting stashing him, because they've been trying to get him over. He is an ideal backup point guard, but they had him there. They could have got him when he was playing for Zalgiris. But the problem is now is that Jokubaitis is playing for Barcelona. It's a lot harder to get it's really hard to get someone out of Barcelona. Like, when they drafted him, as soon as they drafted him in the second round, they traded for him, he then signed for Barcelona. And the draft rights obviously were traded. So you've got this guy who would be an elite backup point guard for you. A 6'4", 6'5" point guard lefty who dominates at the international level. And he's stuck in Europe because you're not going to be able to get him out of that Barcelona contract, and you might never get him over. That is the problem with draft and stash players, is they might never come over. This is a guy who has that potential to be a great offensive guard in the NBA. Is he going to be this unbelievable point guard? I don't know. But he's with the Spain Olympic squad. He's young. He's with this team. This is a good squad. This is a squad that's probably not going to win the Olympics, but you just never know. You never know with Spain. Like, in the World Cup, they choked against Canada, but they've been good. They've been really good at times in international play. They've been better than the sum of their parts. And this is a guy that, under the mentorship of Chris Paul, he could be, like, forget about Stefan Castle. A lot of people think Stefan Castle was drafted to be their point guard. I think he was, but I think this is their insurance plan. You don't need to play Juan Nunes straight away. Keep him there. Keep him learning under Chris Paul. And then next year, let these two battle it out for that starting point guard. Trade Trey Jones. As good as Trey Jones is, trade him. Trey Jones is not going to be your starting point guard. Whereas, in all reality, they want this guy. But if he doesn't work out, this guy could be a starting point guard better than Trey Jones. His ceiling is higher. And what Chris Paul is going to do is, he's going to be that vet. He's going to be the veteran leader on this team. And look, I don't think they're going to be good next year. But this is a team that's definitely not tanking. They're not tanking. If you're tanking, you're not bringing in Chris Paul. And maybe they're looking at it like, we can win because we think Atlanta are going to suck. We own Atlanta's pick. And also, let's not forget, they're looking for Larry Markkinen. They have That makes sense now for why they made that trade down from 8. And they are able to trade to Utah. They're able to trade a 2029 first-round pick from Minnesota unprotected. They're able to trade a pick swap with Minnesota in 2030. Or is it 2030 and 31? Either way, I'm not entirely sure. They're able to trade that. They're able to trade some of their own picks. They're able to trade, like they've got Atlanta's picks. I think they have a couple of other picks. This is a team that has assets. They have assets. And they can use them. They used the Jakob Poeltl trade. I think it was the Jakob Poeltl trade for the first round pick. And now they're like, they have enough assets there. And again, if you're Utah, maybe you could do with a Keldon Johnson. If you want to be decent, Keldon Johnson could do something for you. Maybe you believe in the experiment of Jeremy Sohan. Maybe you believe in Sohan. And maybe the Spurs are like, we like Sohan, but if we can get Markkanen, we're going to get off him. And like, imagine pairing up Lauri Markkanen and Victor Wembanyama. There might not be a more match made in heaven for both of them. So the Spurs are quietly putting together a contender. They really are. They are quietly putting together a contender. And it's a team that looks dangerous. They really do. Especially if this man right here stays healthy. Look, if Wemby stays healthy, like, they could be incredible. They could be absolutely incredible. But, man, the NBA is going to be interesting, especially with the way the second apron is and teams don't want to pay the tax. A lot of stuff, and I mean a lot of stuff, could end up happening throughout this year. And it's going to be very interesting. It is going to be very, very, very interesting right here. So, anyway, that is the video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think the Spurs are going to be good? Do you think the Spurs are going to suck? Do you think the Spurs have the potential to be that, like, next great team? Do you guys think all of this is for nothing? Do you think Stefan Castle is going to be a point guard future? Do you think they should draft and stash Juan Nunes? Let me know. I'm just very high. No, I'm not even high on Juan Nunes. I'm just against the idea of stashing someone who could be a player because you don't know if they come back. I don't really like the draft and stash prospects because it's wasting a draft pick. Like, I think you're wasting a draft pick. Like, we've seen it with like Sergio Llull. We've seen it with tons of guys. We've seen it with so many like really good players. The Spurs themselves know all about it with Adam Hanga. Like, they could have really done with Adam Hanga 5 or 6 years ago, but he wasn't leaving. And that's the problem is that especially someone not from America, if he goes and stays, ends up, let's just say, is signed by a Real Madrid and is on a contract that you're not going to be able to buy him out of, and suddenly he's an NBA player like Jakubaitis, you're not going to be able to get him. So I I like the idea of draft and stash because it adds an extra risk, especially when he's going to be on a non-guaranteed contract anyways, a second round pick.